So here we are at episode 13, I think we're at now.
Unlucky number 13 for some people.
Unlucky for some. So just as well we're talking about morning routines then. If you have a bad morning, I think it can ruin your day, so that's probably quite prevalent. So do you want to get started, Mark? Tell us a wee bit about your morning routine and what you recommend.
Absolutely. So morning routines, for me, I think are really, really important. So, as a business owner, things can get, stressful, you can get anxiety with business, and ultimately, a lot of people have got really, really busy lives. They've got kids, they've got to get up and do all sorts of stuff. And I never really had a morning routine. I was very much get up at the last kind of point that I need to get up at, where I could hit the snooze button, continuously, and then go, right, I'm going to get the kids in, it's going to run. Getting into work, a minute before 9 o'clock, sweating. And then I started to get into more of a morning routine, and I ultimately would say that it's changed my life and it's changed my perspective on things. And even speak to my wife and my kids, they've just seen a total change in me, being a much calmer person, being less angry and things. And I have a quite set morning routine. So basically, I get up. I'm up at 6 a.m. So I know there's a lot of people who do 5 a.m. but I'll get up at 6 a.m. In my bed. I follow a guy called Wim Hof. So he's if anybody will probably know him, he's quite a crazy kind of Dutch guy, quite funny. But he's called the Iceman, and basically he's all about kind of using cold therapy. But he's got also other techniques. So one of them's a sort of breathing technique. So you do 30-40 breaths, like outside your mouth, and then you hold your breath. So you breathe everything out, and then you hold your breath for as long as you possibly can. So that's basically what you're trying to do. Is you're trying to beat your time every single time that you do it. It's quite hard because you get to the point you don't breathe anymore. And then you take a massive deep breath in for about 15-20 seconds and then let go. And you do that over a number of rounds. So that's the first thing I do in the morning. I get up just in my bed and I do that. And the reason why that helps you is because it's just putting your body through a stressful situation. So even in exercise, you put your body through a stressful situation. Running a marathon is a stressful situation, but it actually makes you stronger. It makes you faster at a marathon. In the same sort of way that you put your body in this stressful situation, it makes you deal with things a lot better in life. So do that, and then basically from there, jump out to the gym. So I never was jumping to the gym pre-COVID, but jump out to the gym, do a bit of exercise, so 45 minutes to an hour exercise, and then come out of the exercise and I take the next Wim Hof part, and that's the cold shower. So jump in straight in a cold shower, and again it's putting your body under a stressful situation. So the way that I do my cold shower is I jump in for a normal shower, like wash my hair, all that sort of stuff, and then at the very end of it, cold shower. And I've worked myself up to quite long, so now I can, and this is weird, I could actually go straight into a cold shower and just wash myself normally now and not feel the pain, whereas before it was the first 10 or 15 seconds it was shock to the system. I was and I could only last about 15 seconds at the absolute most. And you've seen this is very popular now. I see people going out into locks and lakes and things like that, in extreme cold, because it's good. It's cold therapy. It's good for your body. And then so from that, I'm all sort of ready, and I basically kind of shoot off to work. So that's my main morning routine. Feel really refreshed. Come into work really, really refreshed, and feeling great. I mean, what about you? I mean, what's your morning routine, or do you know anybody that's had a good morning routine?
I was just going to say, before I jump into my morning routine, was that cold shower things. It's actually got a historical background. So Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor of Rome, if anybody's not up in the history, he's the guy in Gladiator, the old guy. That's at the start of the film that passes away. Mm-hmm. He's actually the guy that kind of coined that cold shower, cold bath in the morning. I think it's Stoicism, as a sort of like a principle. So I've had lots of different morning routines at all different points in my life. At one point in my life, I was waking up for 6 a.m. to go for a run. So before I'd done anything, no food, no coffee, no nothing. Woke up at 6 a.m. By 6:05, I was out the door, done a 5k before I kind of basically got back in, had my shower and kind of started. I've also done one that was early wake, daily write, which was a kind of morning routine for writers or people that do blogging. So you would wake up at 5 a.m. and then you would basically stand outside your bed, take a picture of your feet, and then post it to almost like an accountability group and say, feet on the floor. So it's as if like, I am up now, that's me, I'm doing this. And then because you know you have that accountability piece, it kind of keeps you honest. So it's too easy for going, I hit the snooze button. But imagine it was a case of, if you didn't do that, then you're not doing your commitment to the group. So that was really good because it gave me that kind of time to work. The kids aren't awake yet, although right now my kids come through the room at like 5 or 5:30 or 5:10 or 3 o'clock, which is mad. I don't know where that comes from. So my routine's probably all over the place at the moment because of the kids, and also because of like the late nights and early mornings. But the very, very best time I had a routine is, I don't know if you know the guy Jocko. He's like a Marine. He's been in Joe Rogan, he's been in lots of things, but he's got this thing that's almost like a cleanse, almost like rehabilitation for the body, and it's a challenge. So you do it for, I think it's 30 days. So his is absolutely insane, and I did this for 30 days, and it's crazy actually the result of it. So just to kind of summarise some of the things, so you wake at 5 a.m. in the morning, you have to do 100 squats, 100 press-ups, 100 sit-ups, a cold shower. You have to dress the very smartest you can. So like, I don't know if you've seen that film, it's not Green Street's the other one, Mean Streets. Have you seen that film? So that's where all that came from, guys that get their suit on before they go out. That's where that came from. So he has that as well. You dress to the very best of your ability, so you're clean shaven, your hair's really maintained, your suit's on. If you've got a tie, you wear a tie with a clip and a pocket square. So it's all about being sharp, being there, and you do that every day. It's also about being concise. So like, you're really concise with what you say. You try not to waffle or kind of go on. You abstain from swearing, from smoking. You eat one meal per day. And then it's like, there's other things in it as well. Like it's quite humorous, and it's not really the kind of topic of the podcast, but you abstain from things that are maybe seen as like, that's not positive to your mindset. So I think we can all read between the lines of what that is. And I'm not talking about being with your partner, I'm talking about anything out with that. So you do that for basically 30 days, and it basically restarts the kind of metabolism and puts you into this kind of like reset mode. And that's fantastic. Even if you just do that once per year, the effect that has on your mindset and your productivity is absolutely insane. But it was difficult to do it for a long period of time.
It's brilliant you say that. There's a number of things there that you were just talking about. It just resonates with me. So one of the things doing that for 30 days is it makes it become habitual. Setting a new routine and just doing it every single day. And there's a good book to read, Atomic Habits, with James Clear.
James Clear, isn't
James
it?
Clear.
I seen him live in Austin. Good guy.
Fantastic. But I read that book, and again, absolutely amazing. And the big thing he says, tiny changes, remarkable results. So just making the slight kind of tiny changes and making them kind of habitual. Another thing that I've done from reading that, one of the things that kind of came out of it is that I have a sort of non-negotiable list. So I will have a set things that we'll do. So getting up, doing the breath in the morning, exercising every day. I have these set things, and I do it every single day. And it's funny how James Clear says it's like, once you don't feel it. So when I started doing the breathing, I was getting, my head would get this quite dizzy kind of feeling, like, I feel quite spaced out. It's almost like the feeling of drugs. I'd be like, I was like out of it at the end, because you're basically like stopping your brain essentially, right?
That sounds brutal.
But I don't feel it as, and it's when that becomes that normal, that's when it's a habit. It's the same as like brushing your teeth. You don't think of the amazing taste of the mint. You just brush your teeth.
Just do it.
You just do it. It's just brush your teeth.
Something you need to do.
And that's becoming kind of habitual. And again, another point, just to kind of refer on, you talked about Marcus Aurelius, and it's not just kind of Marcus Aurelius. There's a lot of things that, you know, this kind of breathing, the cold shower therapy, it's came, you know, all the way from the past.
He's definitely expanded it by leaps and bounds. Just that particular one that's been prevalent. That's all I meant by it, in the sense.
Yeah, no, it's that. But
it's that kind of cold shower. But you're thinking, if it's been done for all that time, and it's still around now, it kind of shows that it's like.
But even the breathing and things like that. So I also do a bit of meditation. It's not so much in the morning. I do it a little bit later on, and I use an app called FitMind, and a lot of the ones in there are breathing, and there's a thing called like Tumo breathing, which is it's pretty much exactly the same as what Wim Hof does, just I think Wim Hof's taken it slightly different. But this Tumo breathing, you actually can heat yourself up. So you can, it's like, so there's like,
it's good for a survival situation.
There's like Tibetan monks have went into like massive like freezers and things like that, and they've like put stuff on their skin, and it's just like melting on their skin because they're like so hot. They just heat it up with this breathing. So it's mad what you can do with your body. And honestly, I would, if there's, you know, recommend like an app if people are into meditation. Like that FitMind app's really, really good, because I was never into meditation. Like, and I was like, it took me like a while just to kind of sit there normal and, you know, not have everything kind of going through your head. But this just trains you. So you like do 2 minutes in the first day and then 3 minutes the next day, and it changing different techniques and stuff like that, which is good. And again, for morning routines, a lot of people do meditation, and if they're wanting to get into it, I would recommend doing something like that as well. Another thing that people do, and I've kind of spoke to, is like affirmations and journaling as well. So I was part of a sort of fitness group, personal training group, and there's a lot of people that did journaling and I tried it a little bit as well, and I found that really, really good. So, you know, one of the things to kind of journal about is having a little bit of kind of process. So like, you know, what's went well today, what's not went so well today, you know, 3 things that you're grateful for, and then like, you know, what, maybe have a affirmation or something like what's going to kind of set you up for that day. And that's even like a great kind of tool to do as well. I feel, you know, sometimes that writing something down in the morning, like in the journaling, and I think you even did it with like blogging and things, it's a therapy on its own.
Yeah, well, I think it's clear in your mind, isn't it? So it's giving you the chance to reflect.
Yeah.
And the kind of world, how busy it is just now, we fill our time with like digesting media, and you know, it's one thing, and it's just never ending. So giving your time that just mental space to go, you know, this is just your time to like write down your thoughts, or exactly that way. I mean, I've kept diaries, and I come in and out of the habit, to be honest with you, but certainly when I feel like, right, I really need to kind of get more control of my routine, I kind of revisit it and I say what's worked in the past, and I kind of like reset myself back into that kind of mode. But I think affirmations are a brilliant one, because, you know, I was talking to somebody yesterday about the law of attraction, and it's like, I think a lot of business owners subscribe to that. It's like, for anybody unfamiliar with it, certainly not in the business world, there's lots of us, but it's about that positivity you give out is what you get back, is the kind of premise of it. But even just looking at it in the sense of like, I am a successful person and I am grateful for my family's health and what it is, if you just say that even like 3-4 times in front of a mirror, it does build you with confidence, because I think you get what you focus on. So if you're focused on, oh, my business is falling apart, or I'm feeling really stressed, or I think my partner's going to leave me, if you're focused on these negative ideas, well, guess what? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're probably going to attract those outcomes. And the way to kind of see it is to think about, look at somebody that's not that far ahead, that's really struggling, and it's like nothing seems to go right for them, and listen to how they talk. Because if they're saying things like, it's, you know, how it is, it's, life's hard, this and that, and it's like, you can actually hear the negativity, and you're like, but nobody's going to give you an opportunity if they think it's like a victim mindset. So I think affirmations, first thing in the morning, is a fantastic way of setting up your day, because it gets you really thinking in a positive mindset. Right, what am I going to do today? This is what it is, this is how I feel. You know, it's like, I'm super lucky. You know what I mean? Like, people used to say to me, it's like, oh, how you doing, right? And in Scotland, it's that kind of, oh, I'm doing fine, yourself. And I stopped saying that, and I was like, I'm beyond amazing. Right, beyond amazing. Oh, life's brilliant. And I would chuck in a couple of affirmations of positivity into the message, and people go, oh, that's actually quite interesting, you know, like, people don't usually answer like that, and I've had loads of people say, you're a really positive person, and I think it's because of that. Like, I always try to err on positivity, even if it's a bad outcome. I was like, that's cool, what happens, what can we learn from it, you know, even though it's inside you might be seething, but you're kind of like, almost like, you said it yourself, the body's a very powerful kind of machine. It's amazing what it can do, but your mind is the control system to that machine. So I think if you have the fittest body in the world and a negative mindset, you'll still go into a dark place. Whereas if you've got a really positive mindset, it's amazing all the things that will happen, because it'll just be like, oh, that's brilliant, oh, what a great idea, and you're always just positive. And I think more positivity in people's lives attracts more opportunity. So, you know, there is a kind of psychology to even like smiling when you talk to people on the phone and things like that, because it ups the energy. Whereas if you're flat, people are kind of going, I wonder if Mark's alright, you know, and then they start to come down and lower their energy. Try selling into that. It's not going to work.
It's absolutely the point. It's funny because we're both in a group, and it's like, you're usually like, what are you out of 10, and you're always like 35.
Yeah, exactly. That's a high number, right?
But it's surprising. It's funny, and around the group they're like, oh, that's you, you're positive again, positive, you know, John. And it is so powerful though, because it rubs off on people. And even in business, you know, if you are, oh, how are you? I'm all right. Or how's business? It's okay. You know, but if you turn around and like, oh, business is great, you know, we're flying, it's absolutely brilliant, it gets people go, oh, really?
So I've actually had feedback on that where I attended another thing where they'd done that, how full's your tank, that you're referencing with the 10, and I said, I'm a 15 out of 10, and actually somebody says, you can't be a 15 out of 10. That's what they said. And I was like, this is like the Simon Cowell, like 120%. You're like, right, you can't actually be 120%. It's either 100 or it's not. But then I remember speaking to our coach Campbell about that runs the Alternative Board here in Glasgow. And I'd said to him, I says, the whole psychology of why I say that is, if you ask me a question and you say, how am I feeling? If I had to say, no, I'm not feeling that good, I am already telling my brain I don't feel good. And then my energy goes down. Whereas if I look at it and say, I've nothing to feel bad about, I'm in a great place in my life, I've got a healthy family, I've got a business, I've got staff that I care for, and you know, we're kind of growing the company, I've got good friends like yourself and people around me, so it's like, what have I got to be miserable about? As far as I'm concerned, I won the lottery a long time ago, and I'm still living off the proceeds, you know. Because if you look at it, that's actually what's important. It's not about money or whatever it is. There was that story I listened to the other day. They were talking about the fisherman. I don't know if you heard this. It's like, I think it was like in Mexico. So he used to catch fish, and they're like, why don't you use this? You know, use a net instead of a rod, and you can catch more fish, and then you can sell the fish, and you could start a business. And he's like, well, why would I want to do that? And he's like, and then you could hire staff. And he says, well, then all my money will go away. And then he's like, oh, but then you could do this. And it's like, and then and you build it up, and then you could retire, and it's and then do what? And then it says, and then you just do fishing for like enjoyment. And he's like, so kind of what I'm doing now. It's like don't just grow for the sake of growing. It's that idea of, it's okay just to be comfortable where you are and take stock of it. And you kind of say that with the what's 3 things you're grateful for. Of course you should be grateful for that. But when you've kind of got some bad things that have happened to you and you're waking up in the morning like in your routine, that can really affect your day. Because if you're thinking, that thing happened last week, I'm usually quite good at moving on from things, in the sense of, if I can see that's causing like negativity in my mindset, I'll actually just like kind of quarterize it, like that's gone, that's cut and it's gone, and then it's like back to being positive again. And
it's like you touched on that, is gratitude and being grateful is massively powerful. So if you've had an absolutely horrible day, you know, or a horrible night, and you're just like, what am I actually grateful for? You know, I've got good friends, I've got a loving wife, you know, I've got kids, although they can be a pain in the bum, or, you know, lovely kids. You know, so there's so much to be grateful for in life, and there's like something small, like, oh, you know, my staff member, like, it was really annoying today. You know, what is that in the whole sphere of life, you know, that you get yourself worked up on? And that's the issues. Like, a lot of people will start worrying about these small little things, but it's in multiple. But it becomes all consuming, doesn't it? So it's like, I kind of look at it as, imagine like whatever you stare at becomes larger, right? So like if you stare at like
you know, like a grain of sand. It becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger the more you focus on it. And I think it's exactly that. If you let all these little things build up, they become almost like baggage, and it kind of weighs you down in the sense of like you're bringing it all with you. And you'll hear it, some people's mindset is like that, and they're like, oh, but this happened 6 months ago, or that's the 5th time that's happened this year, you know, that type of thing. And you're like, that's interesting. So are you keeping score of all these things that are negative? And they're like, oh, well, you know how it is. And I says, oh, I do know how it is, but it says I just kind of, it's like water, I just let it, you know, it just runs off and I move on. Because I think I really don't want to start my day with that kind of negativity being there. I want to wake up and kind of feel right up and at it. You know, what do I need to do today? Right, this is what I'm going to do. I had an interesting one actually. There's a guy called Stephen Malone. He runs a company called Havana Roofing. Great guy, just one of the kind of salt of the earth people, right? He's just dead nice. And I kind of noticed that he was doing like Conic Hill, right? And I was like looking at my LinkedIn and I'm thinking, it's like 4 a.m. in the morning. What the hell's he doing up the top of Conic Hill? And I'm like, maybe he's posting it for the day before. And then I realised that he was actually doing it in the morning, and I thought, that's amazing. So I went out for like a run, but I'd never like climbed hills and Monroes and stuff like that in the pitch black with like a miner's lamp, like a crazy person. And I said to him, I was like, you know, I find you really inspiring, right? And he kind of spoke about, have you ever heard of this thing called SAD? So it's like to do with like when the dark nights come in and stuff, like it affects people's mentality. So he says, I think he's had that, like, and he's definitely kind of mentioned it, but he says it really helps him to get outside and exercise and fresh air and the cold and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, you know, I find that really inspiring. And he's like, well, why don't you come with me? So anyway, like a crazy person, 4 a.m. I'm like, 4 a.m. Who wakes up at 4 a.m.? I was like, it's not even humane. You know, I'm usually still awake at 4 a.m. So anyway, I drive out to Conic Hill, like up in the kind of Loch Lomond sort of Trossachs district here in Scotland. And we're climbing this hill and I'm thinking, this is insane. I literally couldn't see outside my car. It was pitch black, the car park, no lights, nothing. So the only way I could see was with this lamp. And I couldn't even see my hand if I went like that. And I'm thinking, right, okay, I'm about to climb this hill. I've never climbed a hill in the dark in my life. I hope this goes okay. But it was beautiful because we were actually up for like the sun coming up. And, and it's like the views. And I thought, how often do you do this? And he's like, I try to do this every day.
And that's another thing to be grateful for, because we live in such a beautiful area in Scotland. You know, we're 30 minutes away from being able to walk up a hill and have an absolute amazing scenery. It was something I was just touching on this week, and I'd taken some holiday, and just being with the kind of current conditions and not wanting to kind of fly and things like that. I went away and I see the scenery around about Scotland, absolutely magnificent, and you're like, it's on your doorstep. You know, a lot of people don't, you know, take advantage of it. But yeah, I mean, going back to kind of morning routines, I absolutely believe it's all about trying to get your mind right, and I believe that kind of guy, what you kind of mentioned, like the kind of the jockle sort of guy, is, you know, that's what I try and do, is get my mind set, because you're going into, you know, you are going into a kind of work environment. There's going to be different things that are going to try and, you know, trigger you and you know, mess up your head. But if you get yourself to that point, then ultimately it's going to make you set you up for the rest of the day. And it can be anything. You know, I get clients that get up and they go for an hour walk in the morning. You know, so obviously I exercise, but people go up and go for an hour walk.
Plus, it doesn't need to be super strenuous, does it? No. It can be something really simple. So, have you ever noticed that with employees? Like I've had this, like, so when I worked in a call centre, you had to be logged into your turret, your phone for normal people, for 9 o'clock or whenever you started your shift, right? But I've always carried that with me all the way through my career, and I've kind of noticed that through my life when I've hired people, some people kind of go, oh, sorry, I slept in and that, and it's like, right, cool, and I'm thinking, right, we're at 10:05 and you're just coming in, and then I watch them, and it's fascinating. It's like watching animals in the wild, and it's like they're away over making a coffee, and I'm thinking, that's interesting, you're like an hour late and you're still going to make a coffee and that kind of way, whereas I would be like kind of mad anxiety going, oh my god, I'm an hour late, this is terrible, I'm behind in this project.
We lived in a different generation. I remember if you were like 1 minute over, you were it was like you might lose your job.
Aye.
It was that way.
In British Gas you get fired if you were late 3 times. And I worked there for like 2 years, so it's like there was only a very finite amount of people like me that had been there for a long time, pretty much because of that rule.
Yeah, I don't necessarily believe in that rule anyway. Like I'm the same. I'll get up and I'll be in at a certain time, but I do believe that you should give people kind of flexibility to a point, and I do that within the business. Is give a bit of flexibility, and it means that they kind of come in and they're not stressed in that type of morning, and I actually feel by doing that you get them coming in at their points in time when they need to come in at as well, you know, and they don't go, oh, I'm stressed and I'm slept in and all that sort of stuff as well.
It can cause bad habits though as well, because if you're thinking there's so much flexibility, there's no structure, and it's actually that bothers me more than the lateness. It's not that they're late, it's the chaos that it causes, in the sense of like, you're coming in frustrated, and we're kind of talking about mindset. You take that in, you're actually quite disruptive. Watch what it does to staff that are in, bang on the button and they're good to go.
Oh, definitely.
And then the late person comes in and watch the kind of chaos unfold as everybody's like, oh, you're right, Mark, you know, and it's like,
it's the chaos, and then you, as you said,
you shouldn't be distracting everybody. You should just be kind of going, I'm the late person, let's just, you know, get tuned in and do it. Sort of thing. It
was even school. I think it came from school. You were always on the dot at school, and you were never allowed to kind of come in late. Imagine you like came into school and like, oh, I'm just going out and get a cup of coffee. No, you're sitting there, you know. But yeah, ultimately, going kind of back to morning routines, I would say that they're so important. As I said, I never did them before. You know, be it meditation, be it, you know, doing Wim Hof or whatever kind of suits you, reading books, I would definitely say, you know, go for it. So what's your business belter for today?
So business belter for this one's kind of interesting. So I do fall in and out of these kind of habits, so I wouldn't say that I do them all the time. What I would say is definitely kind of waking up at a set time each morning and having that routine. You know, potentially put your phone on the opposite side of the room, so you have to get up to put the alarm off. Because once you're up anyway. I think doing some form of exercise in the morning is really healthy for your mindset, and when I do that, I notice I'm far more tuned in and focused, and it's amazing how productive you can be if you start your day at like 6 or 7 instead of starting your day at 9. What about yourself?
Absolutely. I ultimately feel that you need to be balanced, so my business belter is to make sure that you're balanced in life. It's not all about work. You've got a work-life balance, but it's also kind of about your mind and body as well. You know, you don't want to kind of just have this full slog of, you know, work. You need to actually take that time to rest your mind, to set yourself up for the day. So be anything that you want to do, but make sure you just take that kind of quiet time for yourself and do it every single day. You know, even in the days where, you know, when it's like the sad, you know, syndrome comes in, it's going to, you know, hit after October. The dark nights will come in, it's going to get hard again. You know, it's not going to be the nice, bright, sunny mornings that you're going to have to walk. You're going to have to walk in the cold and the rain and not see yourself. Get up and do it, even in the days. Make it habitual. And you'll see massive, massive benefits. I've certainly done it, and I've felt massive benefits personally, and also, you know, with my family and things as well. Okay, so wrapping up for today, I'd like to thank you again for tuning in. And as always, please subscribe, like, share, and even more so comment. Let us know what your morning routine is, and we'd really, really like to obviously share them with the group and the community, so that we can all try it and become a little bit more habitual, and even in other people's techniques. So it's a goodbye from me.
It's goodbye, fam.
Thank you.